Welcome on in, folks, back to the Snap Judgments League, here now in the top 8. For those who do not know, my name is Guest, also known as ItsGuestGaming, and I will be your honorary caster for the top 8 presentations here for Season 2 of the Snap Judgments League. If you're watching this here on YouTube, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button down below to keep up to date with the tournaments. And if you're interested in finding out more about the Snap Judgments League while you're here live, go ahead and type in !SJL. We have 3 matches to showcase for you today, head-to-head, and as always, these are pre-recorded, but I have not seen them. I just watch them and call them as they happen. They may have talked about their results publicly, they may not have. Either way, we're all gonna find out together simultaneously, so let's just hop right into it. Let's go into our very first match of the day. It is Docty Snap, the one and only Docty from YouTube versus Roshko, as we head in and we see right off the bat, it looks like an ongoing variation. We see US Agent, Spectrum, Mobius, Nebula to start us off in an isolated location. I wouldn't be surprised to see Jean Grey in this deck, as Yondu's immediately gonna pass on out. There goes Jean Grey. There goes the Jean Grey, called that one. As we see an ongoing restriction deck, and ooh, and Man-Thing coming to the party too? Okay, a toxic ongoing restriction deck, throw it together with a Mill Yondu opposite end. We saw Cable disappear as well, so I'm assuming the rest of this is all in that Mill wheelhouse, as White Widows are gonna drop down a couple of Widow's Kisses. Now, after seeing the Jean Grey, I don't know if the White Widow was necessarily gonna be the strongest play for Roshko in this round, because that White Widow is gonna have a real tough time. Considering that the Widow's Kiss is going to be an ongoing, that Spectrum can beef up. So this is not necessarily the prime scenario for that Widow's Kiss regularly, considering that it's essentially going to be a 0-2 at minimum, more often than not for Docty in this matchup. And especially with a Sinister London play on top of it, pretty easy way to clog up the entire board. Plus Monster Island helps out tremendously here too. So fingers crossed, let's see what happens. We get a double Jeffing over on Roshko's side, followed by a single Quinjet. We don't need the double time, even though Mobius comes down and undoes everything that Quinjet hopes to bring to the party. Docty then's looking at playing down Man-Thing as a potential play out. If it hits on both sides, that's minus the monster, it's gonna hit everything on their side of the board, and Luke Cage is sitting in their back pocket too. This is a nice snap scenario. Very nice snap scenario. Take away, take a single cube, continue to move on. This might be a really tough matchup with that Man-Thing, which hasn't been exposed yet. You heard me, people. And now we move to round 2. Now Roshko's gonna have a real interesting challenge ahead of him with this. Knowing that this is an ongoing deck that's also rocking US Agent, I would not be surprised if Roshko is running the Ravonna package built into here as well, and they are trying to expedite potentially through that too. Try to get the Professor X line set up. I like the Mojo call as well. Very underrated card, especially in these ongoing lists, as Cable's gonna take a pull. Ooh, and a great Aunt Maze. Now, if that Aunt Maze can plop Jean Grey into Orcus Forge, it's gonna be one chaotic next couple of turns, because yes, you're sitting on Spectrum, but you are missing a couple of key cards, even though they're going to take that advantage. Gladiator's going to remove out the Mobius, which feels pretty good for Roshko, who's running that Quinjet, as Gladiator slides over from the right into the left, which is going to help clog up that Jean Grey lane in Nova Roma. And now both players need to survive Nova Roma to have a chance. Docty also has the ability to still take that double slide from Aunt Maze, as the White Widow's gonna clog up and activate Mojo at the same time, while Man-Thing drops down all the cards in that lane except for the Widow's Kiss that actually ends up helping Docty in the process. So temporarily 13 is the number to beat, but they are still sitting on Spectrum. And now Docty's trying to decide what's going to be the easiest course here. Is it to undo the negativity that's coming from Man-Thing, Jean Grey, onto the Jean Grey into Mojo? Or is it to go the opposite route and go for just straight up power with Lizard and Cosmo? It looks like that's going to be the direction. Docty is snapping back to go to 4 potential cubes into turn 6. Oh, that's a scary thing for Roshko when you see that lane filled, but they're gonna go for it. There goes the Jeff moving over in your left-hand lane. They're trying to keep up over the top and steal that lane back as Cosmo drops into Aunt May's. Omega Red puts just enough power to stay over that Man-Thing threshold, and it's now 14-13, giving out a couple of extra 3s. And now we can undo the ability of that Omega Red via Spectrum. We can undo the negativity entirely. If nothing gets played into Aunt May's will shoot up to 10 when all is said and done. So now the question just becomes in Orcus Forge. Is that going to be enough as Mobius and Agent Coulson drop down, which is not going to do it. They are going to drop down 10 power into the mid. Here comes 16 power mid and 21 into Nova Roma. And just like that, Docty has brought Roshko down in a fairly fast sweep. Especially here in the top 8, incredibly surprising, fairly fast sweep of Roshko going down to his final cube, and now Roshko has to win 6 games in a row against an incredibly skilled Docty Snap. Yeah, I agree with Chad on this one. Absolutely crazy stay, knowing that this deck runs Spectrum. Roshko just may have had a straight up memory loss moment. And you know what? That happens in these moments when you are under that kind of pressure. There's Limbo getting a Lizard. And we see Snow Guard, which is very scary also. Neither player, I believe, is playing a Kitty Pride, so Shuri's Lab, less of a threat in either direction. Snow Guard on Limbo poses a really great threat, favoring Roshko. As we get our 2 suits over into Shuri's Lab. I like the Omega Red call also into Shuri's Lab right now and take a little bit of an advantage there as Stegron's gonna knock out that Mobius into the middle lane. Stegron, courtesy of our friends Agent Coulson. And Omega Red shoots up to 10, keeping his ability restricted. Now, having to deal with the Avengers compound and forced play, they decide to go down the Luke Cage and Mojo line. As Darkhawk enters for the very first time, also courtesy of Agent Coulson though. So 2 good hits out of that Coulson drop. Very impressive, but in a Limbo match, it's a little bit scarier. You've got the Snow Guard Hawk to worry about. If Man-Thing drops down, doubles up to 10, it's gonna hit both Jeff and Agent Coulson. That would swing Shuri's Lab into the favor of Docty. And Cosmo needs to try to keep up. Here comes the Snow Guard Hawk over into the Shuri's Lab. It's going to double from 3 to 6. Is that enough to be restricted via the Man-Thing, who's going to double from 5 to 10? Hits 3 targets. That's going to be 20 as a tie, but it's disabled via the Hawk, so the doubling doesn't happen, and Roshko moves on, holds on for dear life. Barely sneaking out a win there. If that doubling in the Man-Thing had happened, the game would be over, but it is not. It is time to continue on, going into round number 4. Now, Sanctum Sanctorum makes that Starlit Citadel a very intriguing catch as Cable tries to keep up and pulls out against the Lizard. And Asteroid M just pulling everything all the way around. Both players playing pretty heavy onto their 3s and 4s. Roshko now has to try to decide how to play around it, knowing that all the locations are going to switch on down. Docty's opting to keep the restriction out. And it's a Mobius on Mobius matchup. It's M to the 6th power in Asteroid M. That's a lot of M's, ladies and gentlemen. That's a lot of M's. Here comes a Cosmo to help keep Asteroid M under control, too. And the Ant-Man is an interesting play in Starlit Citadel, knowing that the switch-ups are going to happen. I guess they're just trying to keep the 6 and 6 in their favor. And it ends up being the difference maker, potentially. Let's see how the locations do their cha-cha slide. Baron Zemo does nothing. The slide pays off. And now they're still maintaining in Sanctum Sanctorum with 2 ongoings as well if they need to Spectrum at the last minute, too. This looks to be it with Mojo, US Agent, and Spectrum in their hand. Nothing's going to slide via Asteroid M. This has got to feel really good if you are Docty Snap. Coulson's cards need to present a miracle. Look at that Spectrum, y'all. Every single card on the board gonna get hit via Spectrum. And here it goes. There's your Spectrum, hits everything on the board. Luke Cage undoes some negativity, slides on over into Asteroid M. It's not gonna be able to steal that lane. And just like that, super fast, super easy, super giant, super everything, Docty takes down Roshko in a nearly clean sweep. You never know what's going to happen here at the Snap Judgements League, because sometimes, look, 8-cubers happen. We love them. We hate them. They're exciting. They're also very short games, so that means we're going to go to a very quick break. Stick around, folks. We'll be right back. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We are going into our second match here of the top 8 presentation for Season 2 of the Snap Judgements League. But I have a quick question for you folks first off. Number 1, what's your favorite variant currently in Marvel Snap that came out this year? Let me know down in the comments. And number 2, what's your favorite peanut butter? Is it Jif? Is it Peter Pan? Or is it Skippy? Skippy versus Jompool, also known as the Kangbassador, going on. Let's see what happens. Good luck, have fun as we see some pretty strong, well, I'm gonna have to say, looks like a Loki build coming over from Jompool, because we see Snowguard, Elsa Bloodstone. Enchantress has been making more of an appearance recently. More and more appearances over into the Loki lists, so I wouldn't be surprised if that's the direction. But let's see what Skippy's bringing to the table. A discard, oh, Hela build. Not that I hide my feelings, but let's see if Hela is able to keep up against this Loki deck, and let's see if Loki can manipulate around fast enough to try to get some advantage out of a Hela deck. It's typically a very difficult flip. A lot of this is going to also be dependent on Kangbassador's variation on Loki. If they have extra card draw mechanics, if they have the ability to really hone down everything. Go ahead and cabling it out. No. Trying to debate if the Angela has more value over time or if the cable has more value over time. If you're looking in Shuri's Lab in particular, the answer is Angela. If you're looking at every other mechanic and looking to try to secure more of the board, it's probably cable. But they end up going with cable in the mid, pulling a death out of the package. Double up that Kitty Pryde, goes from 3 to 6, pops back to a 7 into the hand. Ooh, and an Elsa Bloodstone. Now loads up, getting that extra reinforcement into the Kitty Pryde. Impressive. Man, 19 power Kitty Pryde never feels bad. Never feels bad. Bring it up to 21, shoot it up, 42, back into the hand, 43. Yes, as long as the Snowguard Hawk is paid second. This is a pretty solid play. Only an Infonaut has been discarded. I think Skippy right now is just honestly milling out information out of Kangbassador, who's essentially just giving free information. If we don't see a card here from Skippy, that's 100% what's happening. We do get a drop into the Shuri's Lab. Kitty Pride's gonna double from 21 to 42. Enchantress over into the Isle of Silence, kind of canceling it out. Here comes the Lady Sif hitting the Red Hulk, gonna double from 5 to 10. And now, while giving up Shuri's Lab, and Black Cat now disappears too as a top deck on that turn, we're now looking at seeing if there's enough power dropping down via a Hella Revival. Removing even that little bit out of the Sif feels pretty good. Here we go. It's all down to the RNG. Shang-Chi is going to get rid of Lady Sif. Goes from 5 to 10. Oh, me, oh my, oh my. Kitty Pride needs to hold down the Isle of Silence as Hella drops the Infonaut into that lane. Here comes a Red Hulk and a Black Cat. It's not going to be enough. 2 cubes coming away off of Skippy's total. Loki holds on for now. We go to round 2. Making him sweat, making him sweat. As Black Knight now makes an appearance, Black Cat disappears, automatically get the brand new Ebony Blade animation to appear onto the screen. Small glitch on the screen, I apologize. Lots of discards kind of helping out Skippy just a tad bit more there. Well, discard is feeling okay at the moment for Skippy. He's got the power advantage now too. No Corvus needed, just keep the initiative. And once again, that's the second time Cable has pulled death out of Skippy's lineup. Try to steal Castle Blackstone, doesn't, because Blink's gonna land into Castle Blackstone and bring Hella out of the deck, which brings back the Ebony Blade, the Red Hulk, and the Black Cat. Big lanes to work with already on turn 4. And Kangbassador's got to figure out a way to go over the top here in at least one of those lanes and maybe push into the second. That Shang-Chi's got to feel really strong right now. Letting a power float might get will get the Red Hulk up. And even though the Enchantress would remove the destructibility from the Ebony Blade out of the way, the Shang-Chi's not going to destroy it. Typhoid Mary is tempting. Tough call here. What would you do in this scenario, folks? This is the tough decision because you want the float, so you only can truly work with 4, at least personally. They go for just the Enchantress as Giganto is going to plop 14 super early into Eternity range, drop down the Ebony Blade's ability to be removed. Here comes the Red Hulk now up to 13 power. And that eternity range makes it just a little too difficult for Loki to go over the top in the left, most likely. Goes for the retreat later. Good retreat. Good retreat. I'm a fan. Ooh, Black Vortex could become Kangbassador's best friend to keep up with Skippy and these incredibly high-powered cards for discard. Even though it's off of the curve, that Snow Guard feels really good. I personally would have held that one more turn, but looks like they're trying to take advantage of it. And what a great pull from the Black Vortex, popping a Doombot into Washington, D.C., and then a Gamma Lab in the right. Oh, what a solid pull. Beautiful combination of events for Kangbassador. Would not be surprised to see a snap come in after the drop. He plays it cool. He locks in without a snap. Wow. Rather than stealing the cube, he wants it to progress forward and give Skippy more opportunities as we see Blink and Infinite both disappear. Corvus Glaive is going to transform into Magneto, which drags out the Agent Coulson. So a very successful Magneto, because that restricts 12 power out of the Gamma Lab all by itself and puts a little clog into the Vortex. Ooh. Athena, Angela, or Loki. And he opts for the Loki. Here comes the Loki. Plop it on down. We're going to see a Black Cat disappear and then a Hela be able to potentially bring it right back. There's a lot of good that can happen from here as Jubilee drops a Giganto into the Gamma Lab. Huge hit. Huge hit. And a snap comes from Skippy. This is a very tempting snap to work from. Black Cat, Blink, Infinite, all of the power. This is a big Hela too. If Hela does the thing, the RNG of its drop is what will matter, but with Shang-Chi in your hand, it's got to feel even better. One card in hand still. One card in hand. Does he lock it in? No, he runs! Oh, he's scared of the Hela. He's scared of the Hela. And just runs. All right. Hold it down. Hold it down. It's tough to swallow. That's really tough to swallow. As we get Quinjet Black Knight to start us off. Thank you so much to the subs that are happening here over on twitch.tv/ItsGuestGaming. If you want to support the channel, come on down, hang on over to Twitch, be with us as we broadcast these events live regularly here, typically about once a week on Mondays here on the channel. Appreciate all the support as we see Agent Coulson go down into the Bifrost. Try to clog up the danger room as a, we'll call it a just-in-case clause. And Spider-Man 2099 could be a very fun card. Unfortunately, the Ebony Blade has already been removed. if you're going to capitalize on 2099's ability at all, it could actually end up backfiring because if they hit the ninja. You got to be careful. Tough decisions here. You don't want to lose that 4-9. So a little risky to plop it into the danger room. And they're looking to take the high roll on this. Either way, it equates out to at least a 4-7 if it hits the ninja. Do they commit on 4-7? They do. They commit on the at least 4-7, could be 4-11. Let's see what happens as the Bifrost watches Jubilee pull down Lady Sif, who hits Hela. Goodbye, Hela. And now 2099 takes out the Black Knight in the process. Two big key moments right there for Skippy. Would be surprised if they stay much longer. Jompool taking it very cautiously. Trying to control the priority, it looks like here. Even with all the reductions, and locks in his next move. Man-Thing plus Jeff the Baby Landshark. 2 reductions currently happening as Blink is going to flip out that Jubilee into death. And Blink survives the danger room to put a little bit of pressure on the middle lane. Athena will grow, bringing the middle lane to 16. Shang-Chi tosses out the death from the equation. It's a nice 3-lane up victory lane. Feels pretty good. Nothing necessarily to undo via the Enchantress to your benefit. And Skippy just knows better. He runs away. I'm agreeing with chat 100% from Jompool. This is a huge snap opportunity. And try to take advantage of the board state and put a little pressure on a Skippy, especially at the end of low stakes. Did not happen. Instead, we're going into the high stakes with a 5-7 lead. Kangbassador, also known as Jompool, versus Skippy. Just a Snow Guard, just a Jeff, just Jeff. While Agent Coulson is tempting, it would clog the hand. So we could be looking at just a bounce. Or go all in on the idea of a turn 4 Loki. You haven't bounced Kitty yet. You could. Really in love with that Shang-Chi. Kangbassador knows that hanging onto it probably presents the best option for a turn 6 return, rather than just Lokiing immediately. As we get a Stegron and a Gilgamesh, the brand new season pass card featured in our most recent Conquerors event. It looks like Jompool's gonna go for the straight up swap. Rolk, Blink, Black Cat's gonna disappear. Infinite, Jubilee, lots of big names and big cards. And Blink might be able to capitalize on it if saved for turn 6. We're gonna need to see Thena Jubilee now. And then maybe a Blink afterwards, depending on what gets top decked. Ooh. Sif tosses the death out of the pet mansion. Here comes the Ebony Blade for 12 power into Skippy's hand. As Jubilee pulls Angela, kind of a weak hit. Really only one forced target then in the left, if they choose to keep it. Jeff over into Pet Mansion. I don't see that doing it. Even if they try to cover the mid, it's not a lot. Not a lot to work with. Try to snipe out the mid? Ooh, scary, risky, but kind of fun. Jompool wants nothing to do with it, backs out for 2 cubes. Now Skippy, who has turned the tables, has now gone up 7-6. Free choice on the Snow Guard, followed by an Asgard. As Jompool looks to show, this is my stack with a base variant Angela. And I like the high commitment early into Asgard. Kill 2 birds with 1 stone for the Loki deck. As Cable pops a Blink, could be beneficial. Let's see what Corvus hits, though. It hits Death and Jubilee. Death and Jubilee, not great. But TVA is for Kangbassador. There goes your Loki pull. Loki officially gone from the conversation unless there's a crazy location change moment happening right here. Try to steal all 3 lanes, spread power out wide. This could just come down to an RNG prayer. Is Angela's 2 extra power worth it? Do they need to compete for Asgard? Do they let the RNG of Danger Room override everything else and use it on their opponent's negative? Ooh, they drop it. It's only into the Danger Room, though. Only place for the conversation. 11 in the mid as Blade's gonna toss the Giganto. Blade survives, and it's enough. Right there, ladies and gentlemen, it's enough for Kangbassador to shoot out 4 cubes out the bottom of Skippy. Crazy stay again. Now, sitting on a comfortable 6-3 lead, Kangbassador has got to win just essentially at most 2 more games as we go to high stakes round 7. Skippy looking like he was assuming that the Kangbassador was going to be able to just disable the TVA to continue their match, but it played much heavier into Kangbassador's advantage point. Ooh, an Amp Maze too. Abel pulls Lady Sif. Nice target. Cheap target at that. Yeah, even if it pulls on down. And Ebony Blade again at a 4-9. That's it. Is the raft gonna be kind? Is the question. Will the raft be kind and give a 6 cost that matters? And it's an Infonaut! With a turn 4 fill, Infonaut is able to be played. We need a full float on 5, but it's probably one of the most revealing raft plays if they decide to go through with it. They have activator cards out the wazoo and only a black cat discarded. Skippy, who's pushed in for all 3 cubes, full committing. As Blade also hits death now, they get the full flip commit, and now a 0-20 Infonaut to play with. Ooh, man. Looking at every possible combo. Where would you play the Infonaut? Left, mid, or right? Skippy is struggling right now, trying to figure out what is RNG gonna do for him. Here we go. All the power being thrown into Aunt Maze as only a Red Hulk drops into the left. Angela shoots up. Infonaut slides mid. Then the bear. And then Lady Sif hits the Enchantress. Even with the float, it's not enough. Jompool takes down Skippy, leaving 6 cubes in the bank. GG's to the Kangbassador. That was a really tough matchup. Look, Loki and Hela, 2 of the most competitive decks in Marvel Snap, going up head to head. It's all about that snap management. And I know here, myself as a caster, those of you who are watching, those of you here in the live chat, we're all trying to find different ways of saying to the screen, do this. But you never know until you're in that hot seat yourself. If you want to be in that hot seat, join Season 3 of the Snap Judgements League, y'all. And we will be right back. Let's go. Let's go into our 3rd showcased match for the day, ladies and gentlemen. Once again, if you want to be a part of the Snap Judgements League, take an eye, take a look, dive into the Snap Judgements League Discord, ask anything that you want. All of the moderators or myself, we will be able to respond to your questions and get you settled up for Season 3 as we showcase our top 8 and get ready for the finals and the semifinals over the next few days. So the next 2 weeks, there's going to be a lot of Snap Judgements League coverage. Be ready for that action here on YouTube via like and subscribe. Let's head on over to our final showcase today. It is TheKiD versus Subtek, who's also known as Brown Hulk. So we're going to call them Brown Hulk and TheKiD as we go into turn number 1 here. And I see it looks like we're diving into Phoenix Force. Carnage, Deadpool, Human Torch, Nico opens up the hand for TheKiD. Now, move has gotten a huge change to it. We have had the move mechanic really get all kind of messed up. We've seen how that gets affected. So let's see how they're able to pilot this deck now, knowing that the moves of those Phoenix Forces and the multiple men are different than they were before. I'm very excited to see how this plays on out. And I love that Brown Hulk is rocking that pizza hobgoblin avatar in the top corner too, as they open up with a Ravona into Crown City. And TheKiD opens up with Nico destroying the Human Torch and getting a couple of draws in the process. Trying to pull out that Phoenix Force and hasn't yet, as they top deck it there on 3 and move into a Bifrost scenario. Human Torch going to be able to immediately drop into a Phoenix Force line. Just basically debating about how much board space do I need to clog in the Bifrost by the final turn. Is Deadpool worth it or not? They go for the snap. They see their opening line here in round 1. Putting Brown Hulk on the timer. Only adding on a few seconds. They do go for it. Here comes Nocturne, who's gonna potentially remove the ability of that Bifrost. Who moves first? Does Brown Hulk move the Nocturne into the Bifrost to stop a potential movement for the kid? Or does Bifrost go off, Nocturne flip the location, and then Phoenix Force go on through? And Nocturne's going to disable the Bifrost, turn it into Washington, D.C. as Angela and White Widow clog up Crown City. Crown City's now getting its first appearance of Phoenix Force, who's going to be a reappearance of the invisible Human Torch, now for 7 power. Prio shifting back and forth during all of the animations, as Human Torch can move freely. And the kid just opts to do the doubling move, knowing that they're sitting on Taskmaster. Machine World procs with no activation of putting a 114 in their hand via the move. And now priority has shifted where the kid now just lays down a very light and simple Human Torch for 28 into Crown City, followed by a Taskmaster and Ghost Spider. That's going to be 30 into the left. Brown Hulk knows better and moves away. Sage only hit for 4 power in Crown City. They needed that proc to be a little bit higher to have potential, but the kid using those emotes also as a taunt advantage. As we move in, loving the addition of the cannonball in this variation now, so that surprise defensive package into what's already a very strong offensive group, as Sanctum Sanctorum locks down the Deadpool. This is an awful combination for the kid, who's looking at Dark Dimension and Sanctum Sanctorum. Vina drops for Brown Hulk. And they're just going to take the small absorption, put on the Hulkbuster, put it into Kunlun. White Widow adds on a Widow's Kiss into the kid's side of the board. No destroys have happened, so Phoenix Force is sitting on nothing. And the kid has to decide if it's worth it to hold the Phoenix until afterwards or play it out now. Yeah, the clogging is incredibly disgusting to have to work around, with no on reveals being able to proc in the Dark Dimension. And they float a little more after playing down their Doctor Strange. Here comes the Nocturne, who could open up either location potentially. And the Destroy Nico is a huge top deck. We could end up seeing Nico into Human Torch get the destroy, and then give flexibility for Phoenix Force, which is what they're essentially deciding on right now, because that's your turn 6 play. It's going to be Phoenix Force into Kunlun. They're saying no? They're saying hold on. Because if Doctor Strange opens up, it's going to move over the multiple man right now. And the kid decides to opt out. Looking at every possible revival mechanic on that Phoenix Force, what does it actually potentially hit? Is the Ghost Spider afterwards worthwhile as well? Does it overclog the lane? Didn't like the lines they were working with. They back away for a cube. We go to Bar Sinister with a Hulkbuster in hand, and that's definitely got to feel good. Ooh. Onslaught Citadel, just inviting that Widow's Kiss over from Brown Hulk potentially. And then one of my favorite interaction groups looks like is what the kid is going to set up for. Hulkbuster is going to absorb itself 3 times. Oh man, this is going to be a big combination, y'all. So now we're sitting just kindly on a 212 Hulkbuster into Bar Sinister. As Sokovia is going to toss a double cannonball and reveals for the very first time the surprise mechanic in the kid's deck. Professor X forecasted by the kid. Ooh. Is Nico worth keeping or destroying right now? Because with that Venom, it would turn into a 15 Venom, which will translate into a lot of destroyed cards that can float around. This looks to be like a GG scenario for the kid. As a 15, a 30, and a 45 Venom all get factored into Bar Sinister for now Phoenix Force galore to come back on. Oof. Having multiple floating big cards might be your best friend if you're the kid. Just trying to make sure that all things look happy hunky-dory. Trying to think of what the potential counter for all of this also is. Trying to be a step ahead. While it looks like Phoenix Force into Bar Sinister is the winning move, not a guarantee yet. No way. Okay. That's what they go for. That's what they go for. White Widow, excuse me, White Widow drops into Sokovia, only puts 1 Widow Kiss down as Jeff now enters Sokovia. And all of the forces come back, and it's going to be the 30 of the Venoms who's going to eat on down. Go to 95. Oof. That's a lot of scary, scary floating Venoms. 95, 95, 95. Oh boy. No big deal, just a 380 power Venom that can float. No big deal. Brown Hulk, sitting with priority. And with the kid trying to make sure that he can dance around a potential Shang-Chi or Shadow King, right? Exactly, to the chat. How do they play around it? Because all Brown Hulk's trying to decide is, do they move it? Now with the new move mechanic, it does fix what would have been floating power. They play over in the right. Venom registers. And Sage is all the Brown Hulk's drops. The original for the Taskmaster is no longer on the board. It's been absorbed by the Venom. So Task hits a big fat 0, and they end up winning in a tiebreaker scenario. And the kid messed up the mechanics just like this caster did. Who would have thought that Jeff to the left would have won? Exactly. Completely forgetting that the original Venom on those copies that all ate each other did not stay on the board. The original card that was played. Therefore, Taskmaster cannot find its target. All right, now we load on up. Here comes an Asgard build. Brown Hulk immediately trying to counter with a Widow's Kiss, which we could have a floating Widow's Kiss. But instead they're gonna opt for pulling in Eternity Range the Human Torch first. There's your dismissal, and here comes your revival. Phoenix Force into Asgard for 2 reasons. 1, keeps it as the highest on the board for the Doctor Strange. 2, disables the Widow's Kiss. 3, gets the Asgard proc more likely to happen. Ravonna plus Hope Summers. And here comes the Human Torch. Ooh. Ooh, and a Nico afterwards. All right, you've got a lot of options on the board if you're the kid. Looking at the Human Torch, being able to move, then being able to move it again via Doctor Strange, then looking at potentially Venoming on top of it. It's a lot of power. They could also move the Human Torch, Nico in the left, put the Demon Spell on, then Doctor Strange, bring over the Human Torch again, bring it up to 28 power, and convert Doctor Strange into a 6 power card. Lastly, we could just straight up see Cannonball defense. That would put a 14 power Taskmaster down on the board into the Eternity Range. And as called in the chat, Professor X hits the mid, locks the mid, and the kid plays around the projected Professor X lockdown. No full restriction yet, as TheKiD is now able to decide how they wish to lock down their opponent with what's left. Ghost Spider would slide over the Taskmaster into the left. Human Torch could still float over into Eternity Range to the right, and Cannonball could defend either of those lanes. And that looks to be the power tactic. I like the use of Professor X against himself, assuming all these mechanics proc off via TheKiD properly. They should, given his prio. And he's looking to take off 4 cubes in the process. Does he get it to fire off? He does. Here comes the Ghost Spider. Ghost Spider brings that Taskmaster over into Machine World. Cannonball is going to just hit the rock, which is a rock. It's rock on rock on rock as Angela adds on into the Havoc, which then has a Nocturne proc on top of it, giving 2 more to the Angela. Sage is going to try to scale over the top of everybody. It's only going to put 8 power plus that other Angela 2 and the other Havoc 4. It ends up being 30 versus 25. And in that lockdown of 30 full power by TheKiD, one of the masters of Marvel Snap, ladies and gentlemen, TheKiD has taken down Brown Hulk, also known as Subtek, here in the top 8. We've seen the changes to move come to Marvel Snap, and it's really difficult to try to make it all potentially happen. But if you know that the Phoenix Force stack inside and out as well as TheKiD does, you adapt and you still are able to dominate. Absolutely unique way to see that deck piloted, and I'm so grateful we all got a chance to watch it here on the Snap Judgements League. Thank you so much for watching today's broadcast for the top 8. We've got the semifinals and the finals coming up in the next 2 weeks, so please hit that like and subscribe button down below. And if you're watching here on the live stream, stick around. We've got more Marvel Snap coming at you. For those who do not know, my name is Guest, also known as ItsGuestGaming, and I look forward to seeing you here, as always, on the guest list.